Welcome, nerds, geeks, marks, everything in between. Welcome to the newly revamped format of what will be Gaming Ringside with Bigfoot from now on. I am your host, Str8edge187. I'm joined by the one, the only, the myth, the legend, DoctaDajman. DoctaDajman and Straight Edge are just going to be sitting back. We're going to stretch our sacks. We're just gonna talk. We're just going to talk about all the happenings in the World of Warcraft. It's we love to hate WoW. I guess the appropriate thing would be to say that we love Azeroth, but we hate WoW. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
As of right now, yes. I love Azeroth. I love everything that is in it, and the way it used to be. I'm not sure I like the current state of where the game itself is being taken.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's gosh, there's so much to talk about, isn't there? I guess we could both agree that Blizzard really kind of dropped a bomb this past week with everything that was announced for what we now know will be called World of Warcraft Legion, the next WoW expansion. Last week the speculation was running rampant, and when we both sat down to talk about all this, we had our predictions. We had our beef with the current state of the game, and we kind of let it sit there and say, okay, well, let's see what the announcement brings. Let's see what Blizzard has up their sleeves. I believe I told DoctaDajman that I'm gonna put my entire paycheck on it. I bet you the next expansion is called Eye of Ashara. We're gonna get a new class called Shadow Hunters. It's gonna have like a weaponized freaking healing spec. And from what we saw, Blizzard kind of just said, yeah, F you don't know shit.
Yes, I'm excited to get a new paycheck, even if it's just for 1 week, but it didn't happen that way.
No, it didn't. See, that's the thing. It's gosh, so much, like I said, so much to talk about. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's try to keep it as chronological as we possibly can for these fine folks. Let's go back to when, before the announcement came this past week, how much belly aching and straight up bitching we have been doing about the sad state of affairs that is the World of Warcraft right now. Oh my gosh, 6.2. The abomination, the pile of living absolute shit that is 6.2. I mean, how long can they truly expect us to be held by this joke that they consider content?
I think we need to go more in depth. I honestly, as far as what you mean by this content, I am not disappointed in the way rating has gone this expansion thus far. In fact, I've enjoyed it pretty much. But as for all of the chores that they're forcing us to do, whether it be in the Tanayan jungle or through our garrisons, yeah, it's garbage. No one wants to put up with that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's put it like this. Let's make a fair of an assessment of WoD as we possibly can to date. It's been out for 9-10 months now. I will say the questing experience, fucking phenomenal. Whatever the questing experience is going to be and what we now know will be Legion needs to build upon that. They got the questing right in WoD. The art department outdid themselves. The environments are gorgeous. The character models are gorgeous. The cinematic was fucking epic. The music was good. And we get to endgame, and the endgame, besides rating, has been absolute living shit. The raids are solid. I don't think Blizzard never stumbles when it comes to rating. The ratings are well designed, or the raids are well designed, I should say. But when it comes to garrisons, oh my god, don't get me started on Shipyard. Have you even done a Shipyard mission? I don't think I've done a single one.
No. I talked to the king one time on one of my 8 level 100s, and I haven't done a single quest except for talk to him. I accepted the next one, and I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point you can really just call it World of Apexis dailies or World of Garrison Craft, because the sad fact is that Blizzard has managed to take what is supposed to be an MMO, which means massive multiplayer online, and turn it into a single player game. What's wrong with that picture? We're not supposed to be sitting in a phased area just by ourselves, being able to self-sustain ourselves with even an auction house. Because I guarantee you there's going to be people listening, well, Mr. Str8edge, you still have to leave your garrison to go to the auction house. Well, yeah, not really. Because if I spend 30... Well, no. It depends on what server you're on. Let's say if I spend from anywhere between 30 to 70k gold, I can build my own auctionator in my garrison. I don't have to go to freaking Storm Shield to go to the auction house. I can do it all right there, bro. You can literally do everything in the entire game from your garrison.
Yeah, the garrison's garbage. I don't like it. Haven't liked it. I think I have 2 fully upgraded to level 3. The rest of them I just gather resources and... Well, hell, I don't really gather resources on them either. I just kind of look at it, go in, set up my work orders. I mean, that's all you need them for, and frankly, having a level 3 isn't going to change a whole lot when you have 8 enchanters.
Lucky you, since I have 7. And then believe me, managing 7... Oh my gosh. Managing 7 garrisons is just complete and utter hell. I will tell you this, though. I do get to play the game for free, but, I got knocked off of that high horse about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was talking to DoctaDajman, and I told him, hey, so, yeah, this content is such absolute living shit, and I'm so pissed off with this game right now that, I'm just going to play for my account with gold. I've worked, if they're going to force me to be in my garrison, I'm going to work the garrison system to the T, man. And I'm just going to keep paying for my account with gold. The Blizzard doesn't get a single cent from me. And then he knocks me off my high horse with his analytical mind. That's why they call him the Doctor. And he says to me, bro, you're just adding to the problem, man. You're paying Blizzard more than what you would be paying with your just regular $15 subscription. I'm like, how the hell, what are you talking about? It's like, dude, somebody else paid $20 for that token, which is $5 more than a regular subscription. So in essence, you're paying Blizzard more money for your subscription, bro. And I'm like, screw you, man. Why do you have to do that?
Because truth is truth, no matter how you cut it. That's all.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, no matter how shitty this game gets, DoctaDajman and I have found ourselves in this position where we just, no matter what, man, we can't turn away. Now, Lord knows it has nothing to do with the content. I think the reason we stick around would be the people that we play with, our guild that we run, is really what it boils down to. I mean, that's what we look forward to on a weekly basis now, because it's just sad, isn't it?
Terribly.
Now, let's talk about Tanan Jungle. My God, Tanan Jungle. If Blizzard, you're not going to sell me on the fact that you've supposedly been working on Tanan Jungle for 8 months. Fuck off, Blizz. That's just complete utter bullshit. Fuck off, to steal a line from Gordon Ramsay, because if you're going to try to sell me on the idea that you were working on Tanan Jungle for 8 solid months and that's the content that we get and that's supposed to be our last patch, that's, in all honesty, it scares the absolute living shit out of me. And it scares the absolute living shit out of me now even more that we know what's on the horizon with Legion. Because the truth of the matter is, the game's down to 5.6 million subs. The subs are at the lowest point that it's ever been. I mean, it's clear why. I think it's going to be a lot harder for Blizzard this time around to get people to jump on that hype train like they did for WoD. People are going to be a lot more reluctant to, put all their faith in Blizz and, believe that they're going to deliver on everything that they're promising so far. I mean, if you want an example, back in the days of Mist of Pandaria, shit, I find myself wishing we were back in the days of Mist, don't you?
No, not really. I liked Pandaland, but it's time for it to move forward. I just wish I didn't have to pay $60 for what's essentially a pre-patch to this Legion, because that's all I feel WoD has been. Just one massive pre-patch that they decided to throw a $60 price tag on.
Yeah, but I mean, even you can agree that WoD, especially now in Endgame for the last 4 or 5 months, has just been complete utter shit. You can't even call it a content patch. You can't even call it that, in my opinion. I mean, I used to absolutely despise freaking a Timeless Isle. You remember how much I hated going there? You used to love going to freaking Timeless Isle. Dude, Timeless Isle is fucking gold compared to Tanan Jungle. There is no comparison. I saw somebody in the forums the other day try to say that Tanan Jungle was better than Timeless Isle. They built upon it. Awesome job, Blizz. Like, dude, are you fucking on crack? And if you are, I want some of it because it seems like it's good shit. There's no excuse for the absolute living garbage that we're getting right now. So let me ask you a question, DoctaDajman. There's a theory out there that says maybe, just maybe, the reason why WoD has sucked so effing bad was because they've been working on Legion for a lot longer than what we think, and they pretty much released WoD as a filler. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like WoD, like I said, pre-patch for League, extended to last a year, throw in a few raids, tag on $60. It's a lot of money. Good job, Blizzard.
Yeah, I mean, of course they gotta go for the business aspect and throw in the $60 price tag. Of course, it's Blizz. That's what they're good at. I mean, it's smart business. We can hate them for it as much as we want, but the fact of the matter is, the fuckers know how to run a business. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, something had to be given to us because we had been in 5.4 for almost 14 months. You can't drag out the last patch of an expansion for 14 months. That was just complete, utter hell. It wasn't as bad for us because we came back during like the last year of Mr. Pandaria. I would say like the last 8 to 9 months. But man, those poor folks have been dealing with Mist for 14 months, so they had to release something. I don't necessarily, I don't think I fully buy into the fact that maybe WoD sucking so bad was because of the fact that it was a filler and it was meant to be a filler from the beginning. I don't know, man. I'm hesitant. I'm inclined to think that, maybe that's just wishful thinking. I mean, part of me believes it, but the other part of me doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the problem that WoD's been suffering from is that the content was too much too fast. They could have drawn it out a little bit. For how much they promised us, we are into the third raid, and it's been less than 10 months since it was released. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that is very, very fast. Now, here's the thing. I mean, because there's so many possibilities. Let's speculate for a second. Mr. Hazakostas promised us more content on a more frequent basis. That's not necessarily all a good thing. In my opinion, that has more cons than pros.
Yeah. Pro, $60 every year from every, 6 million people that are going to end up playing. There's a big pro for Blizz. It's a con for us because we don't want to pay more often. Plus, when they have an awesome reveal where they're promising all of these zones, 10 levels worth of content, blah, 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 and they expect you to do it all in a year before they release their next expansion. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like when you look at Legion. Let's say for now, call it wishful thinking, call it whatever you want. Let's say, theoretically speaking, that Legion delivers on everything that we're being promised to the state. Because I don't want to get into detail too much on Legion yet, because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Legion. But just based on what we've been told so far, when you compare the stage that we're in now when it comes to Legion, just the beginning stages of the announcement, and you compare that to the beginning stages of WoD being announced, dude, there is no comparison. Compared to WoD, when WoD was first announced, the amount of content, story, features is a lot greater in Legion than it was in WoD. So when you just compare, I'm not saying that Legion looks better. We haven't even played it. I'm not speculating on that front. What I am saying, however, that it's pretty apparent that when you compare stage by stage, beginning stages of WoD and the features that we were promised compared to what they're promising with Legion looks to be like a huge expansion. And I don't think there's any way to be able to execute such a huge expansion with so much going on in a year's time.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of at a loss for words here just because it seems to me like the same Blizzard story that we get every 2 years, or in this case, every year. But it's who doesn't want to have a huge announcement? Who's not going to throw everything that they have at that announcement and make it look as badass as possible? That's what their job is. That's what they're supposed to do. When you dip down to the lowest subscriptions that you've had in 8 years, you got to bring your A game. It doesn't mean you have to deliver on that A game. You just have to get the hype train up so that people hop on. Conan. I'm waiting to see Conan as the clueless gamer trying to freaking play this next expansion in beta at BlizzCon. Because he deceived me once.
No, you gotta go back and hit it below the belt, huh? Yeah, that's a funny story. DoctaDajman and I, when we were playing in a galaxy far, far away, we were playing Tor, man, remember? And we like a bunch of freaking nerd noobs, man. I actually role-played the shiz out of this little scene that we recreated. And I think we were in DoctaDajman's ship. I can't remember if we were in my ship.
No, it was the agent.
Oh, okay.
Imperial agent.
Yeah.
That's slick shit, man.
Yes. So we were sitting there on that ship, and we were actually in a little conference room on the ship, RPing the shit out of this council meeting that we were having with myself, DoctaDajman, his brother who played with us at the time, his cousin, and we're all sitting there actually debating within Tor if we were going back to a different game. We were going to talk about how we were all thinking about going back to WoW. And at the end of the day, we had decided to go back to WoW, and it was all because of freaking Conan. Conan was at BlizzCon. I think it was BlizzCon 2013. He was actually there playing a beta of WoD. And when I saw the new character models on Orcs and stuff, and I was sold, and I was able to sell DoctaDajman to come back into WoW, and the rest is history. We've been playing since late 2012. No, sorry, we've been playing since late 2013.
Yeah, thank you, Conan. Big shout out to you, but unfortunately, just because Conan can do it, that might be a bad sign for those who are very serious about the game.
What
I must say.
What I'm hearing is you're not buying into it at all. You're reserving judgment until you see it for yourself. You're not believing for a second, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. You're not believing for a second that the reason, pretty much excusing Blizzard, I guess you could say, and saying that the reason WoD sucked so bad was because they were working on Legion, and Legion is going to be just freaking awesome, and yeah, okay, I forgive you, Blizz. You're not buying into that at all. You're just reserving judgment until you see what they have to offer.
Yeah, you know that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. It's hard to fool me twice, because once you've fooled me, I just don't really don't trust anything you do. And at this moment, Blizzard's trust account with me is at a huge negative balance.
And see, that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to bring up next, is the trust. Right now, it's pretty safe to say the 5.6 million you got left, Blizz, are your most loyal subscribers. Those are probably people that have been playing a long time and have invested a lot of money and time into your game and want to give you every chance in the world. But the fact of the matter is, whether or not WoD was just a filler because you were working so hard on Legion to give us something epic or not, whether that's wishful thinking or not, the fact of the matter is, what you've done with WoD, you might have just waited a little bit too long. It might just be a little too late, because a lot of people are going to be very reluctant to trust you and trust everything that you're promising. I mean, we can break it up into sections, or we can just generalize it. But when you talk about the story alone, the deliverance of the story that's been in WoD so far, what a crock of shit. I mean, here we are in a time travel expansion where the major events that go back to the beginning of Warcraft 1, were changed because of Garrosh Hellscream going back in time. My gosh, I remember when I saw the first clip of Thrall standing next to Duratan. I got a boner, man. I got a nerd boner the size of a freaking anaconda, because I was like, holy crap. What kind of dialogue is going to take place between Thrall and his father? Are we going to get to hear Thrall at some point say, hey, by the way, you're my dad. I never got to meet you because you were slaughtered in front of me when I was like 9 months old. And, things like that are nowhere to be found. Where's that epic dialogue? It's like right now with the ending freaking cinematic in HFC, in Hellfire Citadel, you get to the end, you kill old Archie, all of a sudden Gromash lifts his axe and screams Draenor is saved, and all of a sudden he's a good guy. Okay, so where's the plot points and the narrative to explain to us why all of a sudden Gromash and Durotan are able to stand next to each other without ripping each other's heads off? Are we just supposed to be like, yay, everybody's friends, and we just fill in the gaps? Like, that's lazy storytelling. And when you have a concept such as badass as Legion, you got a lot of story. I mean, just based on what they announced at Gamescom, what they want to do with the lore, there's a lot of stuff going on there at once. How do we know you have a lot to live up to? You fucked up what was essentially a small story compared to what's supposed to be going on in Legion. How do we know you're not going to completely fuck up what's supposed to happen in Legion?
Yeah, how do you justify what has happened in WoD? All these missed opportunities. Like, I feel that ending cinematic probably wasn't the way they wanted it to be originally. I kind of think that they've been looking at these subs going downhill, and they're like, well, it's time to push this out a little bit faster than we were going to, so let's cut out the last third or however much of WoD they're cutting out, and let's try to bandage it up. Well, let me just tell you, you don't fix a body by taking out half of the, a third of the organs and then just covering it up and saying, yeah, have a good one. Come back to us next week. We'll do better. There is no next week.
From an analytical standpoint, let's just get technical for a few minutes here. An expansion that is introducing a new class, a hero class, obviously takes a lot more development time than an expansion that does not. Just from what they're announcing as far as features go, going back to what I was saying when you're comparing the stages between WoD and Legion, the beginning stages, it's huge. Compared to what we had in WoD and what was introduced in WoD, Legion, from what we've seen, looks absolutely massive as far as I'm not going to say content, because content doesn't necessarily mean story or features. Features isn't necessarily content. But Legion looks massive. There is so much going on there all at once. I mean, we're going back to Emerald Dream. We're going back to old Night Elf lore with Malfurion. We're going back to the High Mountain Tauren. We're going back to the Titans. We're supposed to be finding relics that the Titans used to make Azeroth. At the same time, we have Queen Ashara rising from the depths serving the Legion. We have Gul'dan raising Illidan from his tomb in the Twisting Nether. We have so much. And at the same time, we have Khadgar making Dalaran appear in the Broken Isle. There is a lot going on here. And
Did you just say Khadgar?
I did say Khadgar, yes. Your favorite NPC, bro.
Alright. Continue. I'm so excited to hear how Khadgar's gonna throw the world back together, but for some reason he can't just, end the threat on his own. But
no.
Let's go.
I wasn't going there. I wasn't about to suck Khadgar's cock, bro. That's not where I was going. I was just simply saying what he was doing, man. I was just simply going to say that we got Khadgar moving Dalaran and the Kirin over the Broken Isles. There could potentially be a lot of story there. Obviously, he's going to play a major role again because, he was the savior of Draenor, man.
Yeah, well... if Khadgar took a little less time trying to move an entire city of the Kirin down halfway around the freaking world and just saved up that energy, walked into the final raid and one-shot all the bosses with an arcane barrage to the face, then there you go.
Yeah, but if he does that, then what are we going to do, man? They have to give us content for us to do.
Alright, This reminds me of the How It Should Have Ended video. And I have to ask if you've ever seen How It Should Have Ended for The Lord of the Rings.
I think I have. I believe I have.
When they're all... So they have the they have their council, and where the Fellowship of the Ring gets chosen, and then the Eagles come down, pick him up there, fly him over. He drops the ring in. And they're like, "Ha, man! Can you imagine if we had walked?"
Yes.
Okay.
But that's actually there's actually holes in that theory that have been explained away.
So I don't want to get on the Khadgar thing. I know that drives some people crazy, but in the end, I'm tired of Khadgar. Kill him off. Make someone new. He watched Murad die, bro. He was like, "Oh, no one could have survived that blast." Yeah, they didn't have to be over there. You could have just summoned a freaking pyroblast on that fool, and Blackhand would have been dead. Instead, you decided to freeze time of every other orc there and leave him there to destroy us. Screw you.
Bro, but he had to be next to Thalen to lead the army, man. He couldn't have been on the ship. That's why we were there, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I look forward to next expansions. Lists and the bogs of forced failure.
Bro. What is your beef, man? Khadgar had a lot of rings to craft in that Zagara fortress of his.
All right,
okay,
well, how about you go out and do the freaking logical thing? Hire someone who's actually a jewel crafter. Look, jewel crafters, shout out to all of you for putting up with this crap, with your profession basically becoming useless. Yeah, you can thank Khadgar for that, because he decided to take all of your goodies and put them into one, man.
No, but he wasn't jewel crafting. He was like using the arcane arts and the demonic arts and like casting stuff on this ring, bro. That's not just regular old jewel crafting, okay? I mean, come on, man. Cut the guy some slack.
Yeah, sorry, Khadgar. You're really good. You were able to, mimic everything that a dragon had done for a moment.
I mean, in all honesty, I'm just being a troll. I could give two shits about Khadgar myself. I mean, honestly, before WoD, we hadn't seen him at all. I don't think we saw him at all during Miss. I don't remember seeing Khadgar at all during Miss. I do admit that I have a hard time swallowing that he just appears out of nowhere and all of a sudden he's like one of the main like heroes of WoD. I do have a little bit of a rough time swallowing that. I guess you could say that maybe the reason they did that was they needed a way to introduce him because he's going to play a large role in Legion, because it's obvious he's going to play a key role in this expansion and expansions going forward. And I guess maybe WoD was the way to introduce him, but he was a little bit forced down our throats. I will admit that.
So it's more backing to the fact that WoD was simply a pre-patch to Legion that they decided to charge us $60 for because MoP had been so drag out. Legion, I think I agree with you, man. Legion is what they've been working on for a long, long time. Warlords of Draenor was simply a way to hold back the tide and to buy some time so that they could do it. So they introduced stuff that they wanted to release all at once, but they couldn't. And basically, we've been getting that through little patches here and there. The character remodels. I don't think WoD is what they wanted that for. They wanted those in preparation for this. It's just pretty plain to see that Legion is what they want.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing towards that, isn't it? But it's just, again, I'm going to emphasize, I just am afraid to fully embrace it because I don't want to be disappointed. Because Legion looks so fucking badass. And hey, I'm a lore whore. You know I'm a lore whore. Sometimes I get a little annoyed with DoctaDajman because he loves the freaking game so much, but he's so freaking ignorant at times when it comes to lore. He's like, hey man, so I got a question, bro. Explain to me, what's the beef between Malfurion and Illidan and then Tyrande? Like, tell me the story. Like, sometimes he's a little ignorant to the story. Me, man, I know most of it like the back of my hand because I care about the story. So for the love of fucking God, Blizz, please, there's so much freaking epicness that can happen with Legion. Please don't fuck it up. Please give us a narrative. You cannot fuck up the story. If it turns out that WoD was indeed a filler, like so much evidence is pointing to right now, you know what? Hey, All right. It doesn't forgive the fact that you've missed out on so many opportunities when it came to the narrative. I'm not going to forgive you for that. But you cannot do that with Legion. Absolutely not. Not with such an epic scale of an expansion as it seems it's going to be, with so much story going on, because it's so rich, man. We're going back to the time of the Titans, dude. Like the events of Legion were planted back in the days of Warcraft and Warcraft 2. This is huge, man. This is going back to the Battle of the Ancients. This is going back to Hyjal. This is going back to when, Malfurion banished Illidan, and we're gonna see all of that. We're gonna get to experience why it all happened. So, man, like I said, I can't say it enough. Please, Blizz, don't fuck this up.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes down to Blizz screwing it up, from a lore standpoint, you're right. I don't know hardly anything. Pretty much, I'll be honest, I ask for bedtime stories. I'm like, hey, tell me about this. I don't know what it is, and I'm having a hard time falling asleep. So, thank you.
Wow,
But
screw you, bro.
no, I'm just messing. But I really care about the lore.
No, I know
it's
you
good
do.
stuff. But yeah, I'm just stoked to see a talent tree, some semblance of a talent tree coming back. If they get nothing else right, please let these artifact things actually have choice. I saw that Ret Paladin one, and they're kind of like the half build one. There wasn't a lot of choice, man. It was very, very linear. I hope that most of them will actually like make you choose a path. Because so help me, if it's just grinding to fill out every point that's available in it, screw you again, Blizz.
Yeah, well, I mean, according to what Mr. Hasakostas was saying, and I did watch the stream again today on YouTube, because they posted it onto their channel, the replay. From what Mr. Hasakostas was saying, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a talent tree, pretty much. And hey, let's talk a little bit about when we were watching the stream live. We were typing to each other back and forth in BNet. And I believe I said to Mr. Dajman, bro, did talent trees just come back? And he's like, dude, it's a talent tree on a weapon. And I remember telling him, whispering him, it's like, does this mean that we're potentially going to just see talent trees just make a comeback period, and this is the trial? Hey, maybe that's more wishful thinking than me theorizing that the reason WoD sucked was because Legion was going to be so badass. But hey, one can dream. One can dream, because in my humble opinion, and I'm sure DoctaDajman is going to completely agree with me, one of the biggest things that ruined this game was the removal of the talent trees.
Yeah. Give me back my talent trees. Actually, the talent tree removal happened when I was not able to play for a few years, and I saw one person playing and during kata, and he's like, yeah, I'm a prot. I'm like, oh, well, have you a prot warrior? I'm like, have you ever thought about taking these talents? And he goes, what are you talking about, man? I can't do that until I'm like filled this one all the way out. I'll never be able to make it that low. And it killed me, man. I died a little bit on the inside at that point, and it was sad.
Yeah, it's it was truly a great time. What kind of priest are you? I'm just a priest. What do you mean? Are you Dist? Are you holy? Are you shadow? Hey, bro, I just said I'm an effing priest. That's all you need to worry about, and I'll be able to solo heal 8 people on a boss fight. No, you don't have to worry about anything else. That goes back to the story of how I met DoctaDajman for the first time. I watched this guy freaking pretty much solo heal 8 people left alive in a raid on the second to last boss to Kael'thasad and Naxxramas. The name always escapes me. Help me out here, Doctor.
Sephiron.
Sephiron, or whatever. How the hell you say it?
Yeah.
Watch this guy solo heal 8 people. And he's like, hey, wipe it. And this guy goes over raid chat and he's like, no, bro, no, you don't have to wipe it, man. I got this. And I just watched him run around like a chicken with his head cut off, solo healing 8 people, man. He like single-handedly saved that boss pull. It was so freaking epic to watch. But you know what? What made that possible? Talent trees, because he was a hybrid.
Yeah, I actually got told by a lot of different priests, basically, oh, you're doing it wrong, get trolled, blah, blah, blah. And it was sad, but at the same time, it was awesome that I could do it, that I was allowed to do it, and that I
Yeah,
had found my niche, man. You know, with the hybrid, the ability to take a little from here and a little from there, you find a style that really works for you, you make that class your own. The game's actually personalized. Not not in a single player, everyone has their garrison. You can be um eye level 695 and have never stepped foot into a raid, and then when you finally decide to pug, you're a boomkin at 695 and you're pulling 9k DPS and you're wondering why we're going to remove you.
exactly. Yeah, it's making it personal, but it's personal in this massive world with so many other people. Whereas now they've managed to do the complete opposite. It's a single player game in what's supposed to be a massive world. You took a massive world and made it small, and it's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to make it personal like you did back in the day, and I exist personally in this massive world. Now, if this is any indication, this talent system on weapons is a step in the right direction. And I can only hope and pray and dream, number one, that it's actually makes it into the game, because hey, let's not talk about the Temple of Karabor being our major city, bro. Do we need to go there? Because last time I checked, it didn't make it into the game.
Right. Yeah. Talent trees. I hope they make a return. Very excited that one, at least as far as the weapons are going, it's gonna happen. Also, talent trees for PvP, huh? Get rid of that PvP gear.
You had to go
Dude,
there.
PvP is finally at the perfect spot where it belongs.
I'll tell you
Absolute
what.
communism.
I was gonna try to stretch it out and talk about PvP a little bit later, but since you bring it up, let's talk about PvP. Let's first let's talk about the absolute joke that PvP is now. Can you even call it PvP? Can you even say PvP exists right now?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's an
And
abomination.
Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, exactly. In Heroes of the Storm. Now, hey, let's get controversial for just a second. I don't think it's a coincidence for one single second, and you're probably going to be like, Mr. Str8edge, I think you're reaching a little bit. Whatever. Feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to leave me comments. Feel free to give me a thumbs down. Tell me I'm a piece of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever. But I don't put it past Blizz. I don't put anything past Blizzard, man. I don't think it's a coincidence for 1 second that PvP and WoD completely suck donkey balls, big sweaty ones, and then Heroes of the Storm releases around the same time. Well, Mr. Str8edge, are you saying that they did that on purpose to get you to play Heroes of the Storm? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Newsflash. That's exactly what I'm saying, and I don't put it past Blizzard.
It's hard to focus on two esports that you want to become the next big thing. It's a lot easier to just focus on one, and well, Arena's kind of been dying since it started slowly killing the game back in Burning Crusade. So rest in pieces, and I'll see you in the Nexus.
Yeah, pretty much. But here's the thing. And I actually kind of felt bad, man. Watching the stream again today, I watched how certain people in the crowd kind of gave a lot of frowns and were kind of somber looking when they were talking about the changes to PvP. I have heard a lot of negativity on the forums. I've heard a lot of negativity on trade chat in the game about the changes to PvP. To you PvPers out there, and once again, feel free to disagree with me. Open forum here, people. Tell us we just don't know what the hell we're talking about. Great. We want that kind of feedback, but I'm sorry. There is only one thing that killed class balance in this game, and it's called Arena PvP. Yeah, that's right, I said it. You want to know what killed WoW when it comes to balance? Arena PvP killed WoW. Well, what are you talking about, Mr. Str8edge? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. When the PvE team and the people in charge of creating dungeons and raids are sitting there designing boss encounters, and they come up with this great idea for a specific class, a specific spec, and they sit down with the team once or twice a week and they say, here's what we've come up with. This is the change that we made to the class. This is awesome. We finally balanced it out. Look at this great change. This is awesome. It works with the mechanics of the raid team. You put them in a 10-man raid that can provide this utility, and then the PvP guy walks in and says, awesome, yeah, but guess what? You got to nerf it. You got to take it out. And then the PvE designer, Mr. Hazakostas, is like, well, why do I need to take it out? Well, because it's unbalanced for PvP. You can't leave it in there. See, if you leave that ability in there, it makes it too OP for PvP. PvP has been making the design of the PvE environment a complete, absolute living hell for the PvE designers because it's a separate team. And guess what? Now they have the right idea. And I know that there's going to be a lot of PvPers that are going to be raging about the fact that I said that, but it's the truth. PvP needs to be kept separate. Now, don't get us wrong. DoctaDajman and I aren't saying that we hate PvP. Hell, I love PvP. We PvP'd the absolute living shit out of MoP. But right now, the way it stands is it's destroying PvE. It's true. PvP needs to be kept separate. When they announced a PvP talent tree, 20-inch cock, man. Boner that almost hit the bottom of my desk. Seriously, legit. Because it's exactly what needs to happen. And if the PvE designers take full advantage of that, my gosh, we will finally get that class balance that we should have gotten years ago.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah. PvP killed hybrids. That's why you're not allowed to do it anymore. That's why you're not allowed to have fun. And you have to go down and pick one spec and never take the best of both worlds. Or the mediocre of both worlds and make it work together to be awesome. But
now, hey, I understand the concerns that PvPers have right now. They're kind of the same concerns that we have as, you know, the lore and the story and us hoping that they don't screw up Legion. But here's, you know, they're saying, oh, well, you know, that's just another fuck up. You know, they're going to fuck these trees up just like they fucked up the other trees. Hey, that's a valid concern. You got to agree there. You know, you got to give them that. The PvPers are concerned that they're going to bastardize their talents just like they bastardized the PvE ones. In this one instance, I'm going to say give Blizz a shot. Because the fact of the matter is, whether they completely screw it up in Legion and then it ends up getting fixed later or not, it's a step in the right direction. The idea of them moving to a separate PvP talent system is what needs to happen. Whether you all agree with that or not, PvPers, it's exactly what needs to happen for the prolonging life of this game. Because when it comes to simple numbers, hey man, the sad, you know, it's not a sad truth, but the fact is, when you have 75%, and this is by no way what's the word I'm looking for? By no way a fact or a confirmed number. This is just me throwing out an example, but I think I'm pretty darn close. When 75% of your population cares about PvE and the other 25 are the ones that care about hardcore PvP, you kind of have to give it to them when they want to separate a PvP system from PvE because more people play PvE. That's just smart business.
World of Warcraft wasn't meant to be a PvP game. It was made for PvE. And so I don't feel bad at all if PvP falls a little bit by the wayside in exchange for more accessible content and content that's based more around mechanics of specific classes again. I miss my Shadow Priest, man. I miss being the one DPS in a group of 4 resto shamans who are spamming their chain heal, and if you suck at your DPS, they're unable to heal. Like, that stuff can't exist in your esport because everyone has to be on the same level, which in fact makes it impossible because no one's on the same level.
Exactly, because of PvP. Now here's the thing. To be completely honest, after studying these PvP changes that they're going to make and listening a little bit more closely when I rewatched the stream today, dude, it has me excited. I actually want to do PvP. There is, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Docta, but there's one of the examples they gave as a PvP talent is they talked about shamans. For example, shamans have bloodlust or heroism, depending on if you pay Horde or Alliance. It's a PvP talent that you unlock. We don't know the level because they haven't gotten into the nitty-gritty details about that yet. But there's a PvP talent that you take for shamans that decreases the cooldown on your hero to 45 seconds. Okay? From 5 minutes to 45 seconds. But it only affects you and not an entire group. Dude, that sounds badass, man. I want to get on my shaman right now and just become a machine gun and pop freaking hero every 45 seconds. Tell me that doesn't sound badass.
Sounds awesome. It's about time shamans get a little bit of love. DPS, shaman, and PvP. It's kind of sad that you have to make those kinds of changes, though. You know, it's just another cooldown. Every other class has one built in, and shamans have been lacking one for so damn long that Blizzard decided, here, have it in your talent tree. So, yeah, here's me being Eeyore, and I don't mean to rain on your parade too hard, but the only reason that's awesome is because you're accepting and settling for the fact that they're finally going to let you be competitive.
Well, no, it's not really. No, honestly, it's not about being competitive at all because I don't. I'm not. I don't consider myself a hardcore PvPer. I'm not as into it as I used to be by any means. Honestly, man, I'm just happy about the fact that they're finally acknowledging that they have to be separated. That it boils down to that. I'm just simply happy about the fact that they're separating it because it needs to happen. It's not going to be perfect by any means. It's going to be full of holes. Obviously, they're not going to get it right, and that's the thing. PvPers need to accept that. I think the PvEers are a little bit more forgiving than PvPers are, but you know, they're not going to get it perfect their first time around. But they can only improve it from here. The fact that they're separating it, huge step in the right direction. Huge step in the right direction. GG Blizz on that.
Yeah, I agree. I still stand by what I said a moment ago, you know, about settling for the finally. Like, Blizzard, I would love to sit down and talk with you one of these days about the way you work the crowd. I mean, look here, like last week or whenever, for the last years, we've talked about how this stuff should be happening, and we're so, oh, why haven't they done it? Oh, this is dumb, blah blah blah. And then they announce it, and we're like, oh, our savior! Oh my gosh, you're here! And suddenly, dude, it's the hype train. I love the psychology behind it all. I like watching people fall into that because it's like they're just slapping you in the face some more so that you can. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it, man.
No, I get it. But here's the thing, though. When it comes to, I agree, but I disagree. Yes and no, sort of. I mean, specifically when it comes to Legion, nobody expected that. Nobody did. The speculations, about what this next expansion was going to be a week ago versus what we now know, after 2 days ago. Holy crap! Yeah, nobody was on the money. Everybody thought they knew so much, and it turns out nobody knew shit. Because and that was honestly I think that was those leaks, man. I'm starting to believe those leaks are Blizzard themselves. It's the only thing that makes sense from a business standpoint. And that's where I do agree with you. That's them themselves leaking it to get people hyped. But that's smart business because at the end of the day, it's a business. You gotta make your money. Do I agree with a potential change in the layout of how expansions are going to come more frequently from now on and just double dipping and charging us $60 every year versus every 2 years? No, I don't agree with that. That's going to get old very fast, and people will not. It'll get to the point where people aren't going to accept that. Well, if they execute it in the exact same way that they executed WoD, where things go so fast that the narrative suffers and there's no context, to the content, then people are going to be unforgiving about that very quickly. Now, here's the thing. If you have a happy customer, they're going to give you their money. If you blow us all away with your execution of Legion and you allow us a decent amount of time and the storytelling of it is completely fucking awesome, and we are just blown away by the lore and everything that was introduced as far as content goes, and you manage to bring it out a little bit more frequently than before, then guess what? People probably aren't going to have an issue giving you their $60 a little bit more frequently. But that's a lot to live up to, isn't it?
Yeah. They just need to they need to deliver a little bit more. I think when we talk about the narrative, it's a dangerous path because you have all this content that gets thrown in, all this narrative that's awesome that gets thrown into your leveling experience, and the leveling in WoD was awesome. But we need to talk about another 10 levels every year. And if that's where your narrative is coming in, if 90% of your narrative is coming in, you're asking for like a 20-hour grind for the next 10 levels that you have to do for every character that you want to play at cap. And that's just so you can get this narrative in. I think just as important as having it is placing it in the right spot. And I don't think that spot is necessarily through the questing and through the leveling process. I'd like to see with these, what did they say, something like 10 new dungeons.
Yeah,
I'd
12.
love to see, yeah. That's where I'd like to see the narrative. That's where I'd like to see the lore and the story progress.
Bingo. See, and that's the thing. I was just about to say that. You know, the narrative can be completely fucking epic, but if you don't have the content to support it, there's that keyword, Blizz, content. Because Tanan Jungle, I don't care how much you want to fucking call it content, it's not content. If you don't have the content to support the narrative and to execute the narrative, it doesn't work, and vice versa. And WoD is the perfect example of that, whether it's a filler expansion or not. The fact of the matter is, you got us hyped. There was the potential for a really epic fucking story there because of the time travel thing when it came to Thrall and Gromosh and Garrosh and all that stuff. So many missed opportunities. When you don't have the content to support the storytelling and vice versa, it just doesn't work. You can come up with, in Legion, you can come up with the most gorgeous freaking zones ever. But if the storytelling sucks and there's no continuity and there's a lack of depth in the narrative, it doesn't work. Just like if you come up with a completely fucking epic storyline and you're doing a decent job telling the narrative, if the content isn't there to support it and it's repetitive, like, Apexis dailies, it doesn't work either. So it has to go hand in hand. And that's honestly, I think, what my biggest concern is when it comes to Legion, is the content being there to support the narrative. Because the fact of the matter is, because of the fact there's so much narrative, or there seems to be that there's going to be so much narrative going on at the same time with Legion, hey, there may be a narrative here or there, or a story arc going on at the same time as the other ones that may get a little bit overlooked compared to the other 4 or 5 that are going on. But if there's solid content there, hey, you know what, that could be a little bit overlooked. But my biggest concern is that there's not going to be the content to support the narrative. You know what I mean? Like, oh god, please, no more repetitive shit like Apexis crystals. For the love of Christ, Blizz. This whole, the concept of everything that you've presented so far seems fucking epic. The idea of order halls is a really cool idea. I'm not sure if you agree with that, Doctor.
The what halls?
The order halls, where you're going to be in a hall with your class, pretty much. All paladins band together. You are the best paladin because you're the commander, and you're pretty much like what they said. You're like King Arthur and then, the Knights of the Round Table. You have, warlocks will have their own hall in a different dimension because they're warlocks and that's what they do. Monks will have their little sanctuary and the order halls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I briefly remember it, but I'll be totally honest. I think it had happened, they started talking about that right after they said something that I just took as, like, great bait to troll people in trade chat, because that was the hype yesterday. So the order halls, this is kind of very... I haven't looked into that very much, but from what it sounds like, the way you just described it, I'm just worried it'll be an instanced off Garrison 2.0 minus half of the stuff, but still no one's ever going to leave it.
Okay,
and there's your first player game.
I'm glad you said that, because they actually addressed that. Mr. Hasakostas' exact words were, unlike your Garrison where, it worked in a way that it was unintended, where you ended up just being there all the time because you could do everything from there. The way the order halls are going to work is it ties in with your artifact weapon storyline. Because of the fact that you wield the artifact weapon of your spec, you are considered the best paladin, best monk, best warlock, etc., depending on your class. And instead of you sending followers out to do missions like you did in your garrison, your followers are few and they have a lot more importance in the story and in your progression. Instead of you sending a follower out, your followers actually go with you on a mission, is what Mr. Hasakosta said. Now that concept is very neat.
Yeah, it's about time. I have spent 12 years defeating the bosses that Khadgar decides to just, stand and watch. And it's about time I get the respect that I deserve as the greatest insert class name here that there is, man. It's about time. I'm glad you said that, because that it gives me a glimmer of hope. So yeah. Order halls, rock on.
Yeah, no, and not only that, but see, that's the thing. It ties directly in, and I don't think a lot of people have realized it. It ties directly in with the whole artifact weapon thing. Now, let me get my fear. I think I'm going to talk about my fear about everything that we talk about first and get it out of the way. My fear with the artifact weapons is that I hope it just doesn't become another legendary style grind. Please, Blizz, for the love of God, do not make it a legendary style grind where I have to collect 900 of this or 300 of that. If you don't do that, we're fine. Now, artifact weapons. The whole concept of the artifact weapon, from what we've heard so far, is very fucking neat. Yeah, obviously there's a little bit of concern there because of people all looking the same. Is it going to be customizable? Is it going to be transmoggable? I'm sure there's going to be a lot, there's a lot of questions that they need to answer. And by the way, if you didn't know, DoctaDajman, they're going to do a live Q&A on the 9th of August, where they're going to, I think it's like a 2 or 3 hour Q&A where they're going to be answering questions, because there's a lot of questions people have about the expansion. But this whole concept of an artifact weapon where new content is being placed in old world stuff, like for example, to get as a Mistweaver, if you're a Mistweaver, to get your shards to craft your artifact staff, you have to go to Pandaria, to Kunlai Summit, to a hidden cave, and get these shards to be able. That's a really cool idea. Like with the Death Knight. What's the greatest Death Knight weapon ever? Well, it was Frostmourne, wielded by the Lich King. In order to get the shards of Frostmourne, you have to return to Icecrown, and you have to go to the base of Icecrown and dig up the shards. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I look forward to creating it. Again, I'm with you. I hope that that it doesn't become the legendary grind. Honestly, I'll be totally I know this is wishful thinking, but I would love to see that building of our weapons. I'd love to see that be like the first part of the expansion. Like when you go through the dark portal and you're spending time. That's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be a huge grind, because supposedly we're supposed to be leveling them up and using them all the time too. I just want it to be there for me, with me the whole time, because it would be boring.
They will be. Okay. From what they were saying and from what I've read, it's tied into the main story arc from the very beginning. After whatever happens when we first get to the Broken Isles, it happens. The Burning Legion starts going rampant on Azeroth, and from there we start our progression when it comes to the weapons. Because essentially what they're doing is not only are we leveling ourselves, but we're leveling our artifact weapon, which is a pretty neat concept. I think it's really freaking neat, just because of the fact that they're including old world content in that progression.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool to go back and do stuff elsewhere. I'm excited and saddened at the same time that I'm not going to be able to go back and, buy a 675 weapon, put it on my level 91 and one-shot everything through leveling. That'll be really nice. That'll be awesome. It'll be sad that I don't progress as fast and get to 100 as fast, but if they do it right, that won't be a problem either, because I'll enjoy the story enough that it won't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with WoD right now. Like one of the few things that WoD did right, again, like I said earlier, was the questing. I can level 11 more tunes because I enjoy questing in WoD so much. They got that right. So it's going to be hard to screw that up. If the questing in WoD is any indication in how it's going to go in Legion, I cannot wait because that's going to be fucking awesome. Now, the biggest thing that we still haven't even touched on, the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, have fun.
What?
For real, just I don't know. I'm so excited and happy. I found this thing called the Prot Warrior. I'm an altaholic. I'll probably end up doing it anyways and leveling
You recently
it. But
became one because of good old Str8edge.
yeah, you owned me, man. Like, you've changed my life. I don't know if I can say for the better yet, but I've leveled more this expansion than I've ever leveled before, ever, and I'd like to go back to the old ways where I'd level once and just rock it with one tune forever, but oh well.
Yeah, no, I've ruined your life. I've made it better, man. That's the only way to play WoWs with alts, dude. No, oh, wait. Hey, you want even more hype? Prot Warrior, bro. Listen to this, okay? Prot Warrior spec. Your artifact is a shield and a sword. It's not just a shield.
Oh, I get both?
Okay, yeah, now listen. You get a shield and a sword forged from the legendary scales of Deathwing himself, of Nefarian, buried in an ancient tomb belonging to the king of the Valkyries. Dude, how epic does that sound?
Yeah, that'll be awesome, man. I want his eye too, though. I don't know how I'll use it, but that's just he's seen a lot in his life, and I'm sure there's some power behind it. Plus, eyes they used to really bug me, and now I'm enthralled by them. So yeah, maybe I can get his eye as my shield. Or it'll just be the scales, like they said. I don't know. Where are you getting this information, man?
It's called WorldOfWarcraft.com, bro. Just so you know, and they talked about it during the stream too, man. They did touch on that. That information I just gave you was on the stream. Were you not paying attention?
No. Okay. So, so the stream for me was pretty much log in after my meeting at work. I made it back about 2 minutes before the stream started, and I sat at my garrison. I climbed on top of my level 2 inn because I can't level it to level 3 without having my garrison at level 3, and that's not going to happen. It's just not. But I sat on top of my inn, not in it because it's a little bit crowded at level 2. Not sure what level 3 looks like. Not going to find out. Sorry, ladies. But,
oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I just sat up there and I'd see one thing that caught my eye that I wanted to talk in all caps in trade chat because that means I'm talking loud and I'm really excited or really mad and I was just kind of being a little bit of a troll, but I'm on Proudmoore, so it's okay. That's accepted.
Oh, of course. Now, so you don't even want to touch on Demon Hunter, man? You just completely dismissed it and we ended up talking about artifact weapons again, dude. Holy crap. So, come on, you're going to roll a Demon Hunter just to try out the tanking spec because now you're a tanking whore. Good old Str8edge just turned you into a tank.
Yeah, okay. I'll roll it. I'll look at the tank spec. I'm not going to mess with the DPS spec. I don't really do DPS. It'll be nice because there's demon in the name, and frankly, our last demon spec, well, it's their turn to be absolute shit. So I think that was
other specs have the opportunity to be better now.
Yeah, and it's just their turn to suck. So, isn't that like the direct quote anyways?
Oh yeah, that's the direct quote.
But
I'm looking at you bastard. Anyways, go ahead.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's also a much better public speaker than
Whoever
some
the
of
other
his
guy
colleagues.
is. Let's just call him
But-
whoever the other guy is. I think that's why, you know what, watching it for the second time today, I think that's why in the beginning he said, now I'm no Chris Metzen. I'm like, oh, that's why he said that, because he knows he absolutely sucks at public speaking. I got it.
Yeah, let's give him a break. He did a good job. That was a lot of people, and
Dude, that was like
rock
having
on.
you announce the expansion.
I could announce it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you, well, half of you, have been with us for 5 expansions, and you, the half that's still here, has thought about the same thing that the half that isn't actually went through by unsubbing. But boy, oh boy, get ready and put on your bib, because you're gonna lose all of your food right now if you're eating or drinking, and be ready to be amazed. Hop on this hype train. You can play as Illidan, not really just one of his cronies he sent back to the planet or whatever. That's lore. One of my other buddies will talk about that later. And I mean, come on, man.
Dude, see, are you sure? You know, maybe we should call you Dr. Doom instead of, or Dr. Gloom instead of DoctaDajman. Jeez, man, holy crap.
Yeah, well, I love World of Warcraft. I love Azeroth, but Blizzard, what have you done?
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? By the way, I saw what you were talking to me about during the live stream, where that part that I missed with the druid, where he showed the 3 identical druids in cat form.
Oh, Blizzard
It's like,
troll,
as you can
dude.
see, oh yeah, Blizzard troll. I mean, it was really forced. Mr. Hazakostas has the personality of my pinky finger, and and that was a little bit forced. Yeah, GG, awesome. You made me chuckle. I got a chuckle, but only because he looked so pathetic trying to make the joke, not because it was actually funny. But that's neither here nor there.
After his last interview, they had to do something to help redeem him. So let's write in a joke for him.
Yeah. But I am excited, because right now my bear tank, I love tanking. I have pretty much every tank spec in the game at cap except for Death Knights. But my bear just got a little bit more excited just because of the aesthetics, man. The fact that I'm going to be able to actually customize the look of my bear, I'm really excited about that. That was the right direction to go. Whoever thought of that, GG. Because that's exactly what needs to happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen for Boomkin, though. And I can understand why, because as a Boomkin, your weapon is still displayed. But man, I honestly, if it was me, I would make Boomkin form customizable as well.
It already is, man. You get your glyph of whatever it's called.
No. I'm not talking about that bullcrap where I look like a damn ghost. I'm talking about, like, if it's only right. Like I said, I get it, because in Moonkin form, your weapon is still displayed. But because the other 2 forms are getting the love of being able to customize it, the Boomkin should be allowed to be customized as well. I mean, I can think of so many freaking cool ass looking, like, colors or armor sets for, like, a Boomkin that would make it look just absolutely badass.
Yeah. Orange and black, man.
Hell yeah. Or green and black, bro.
Yeah.
That's the Oxide.
Okay, that's true. That green and black works for everything, but druids, green, black, fell. I don't know, man. I don't know if that one could be pulled off by a druid. That might be pushing the envelope.
Cat form. I'm already thinking about customizing, if it's possible, my bear, black and green, man. Green mane, like green symbol, little druid symbol on the shoulder.
That would be awesome.
Hell
it's like
yeah.
searing and burning like their shirts.
Bingo. Exactly, man.
Yeah, man. Okay. Who wants to order one of those Blizzard shirts?
Oh, yeah.
I would wear one. I would wear one.
My fiance and I already have it on order. We
Nice.
couldn't wait to BlizzCon. We couldn't wait. We couldn't wait.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, maybe I could get one and get my boss to, like, put our logo on it, and that could just be my work shirt too. But I don't know if they'll go for that. It's supposed to be like red and black, not green and black.
Yeah, and it's like, I was just thinking, next week, for a topic of discussion, we could pretty much talk about the reactions or the questions that people ask on Sunday during that live feed. Because the fact of the matter is, nobody asks better questions than the fans. And I know they're going to get hammered with, I'm sure, questions that you and I have combined and more. So we join us next week and we'll be talking in depth about whatever is revealed. Because the fact of the matter is, somebody's going to ask the hard questions, and they're going to have to reveal just a little bit more about what they didn't talk about during the conference.
Heck yeah, I'm really excited. Next week, I promise I'll do a little bit more research. I'll be a little bit more prepared, and we will talk about this Demon Hunter very seriously.
It has nothing to do with the fact that you're not prepared. You heard everything you needed to hear about Demon Hunter. You're just being Dr. Gloom.
No, man, I think the starting area will be cool. I'll play it through for the story at least, because that's going to be cool, being on a whole new planet.
Yeah, by the way, it looks like they're probably going to be starting out at like level 85 or 90.
No, that's too late. Why should my Demon Hunter have to play through Warlords of Draenor? Why should it have to do that if it's supposed to be... I'm sorry, I think that this is one where when you make it...
Sacrifice.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, here's the thing.
But that doesn't really work.
But here's the thing, though. Because I've had a lot of people that I play right now, that I pug with. I'm in like 3 different guilds. People that I play with, that I have on my friends list, that are all concerned because of one thing. And I'm surprised that the amount of people that I brought it up have. It's like, so have they announced anything as far as character slots go? And I'm like, what do you mean by character slots? Like, well, we're only allowed to have 10 or 11 characters per server. If we have the max amount of characters on a server, when we create a Demon Hunter, does that mean that we have to lose one? How are they going to address that? And I remember telling this person, like, you know what? That's exactly what needs to happen. They could use this as an opportunity for lore. I think that for you to roll a Demon Hunter that's level 100, you should sacrifice a tune that's like max level.
Yeah, I wish they had done that with Death Knights. You should have had to actually be the hero that died.
Yeah, why not? Like, but you know they're not going to do it. This is wishful thinking. You want to talk about wishful thinking? They're not going to do something like that. But man, how cool would it be if, like, you were required to have a Night Elf or a Blood Elf character at cap, and you had to sacrifice it and use that same hero?
That would be pretty cool. But where in the lore does that fit? I mostly ask because I'm starting to get sleepy.
Well, hey, like I said, plenty to talk about on the next edition of what's going to be the new format of Gaming Ringside with Bigfoot. We're gonna be doing this podcast form as quite often. It's been a good discussion. I'm looking forward to next week because I know for a fact that somebody's going to ask a hard question in that audience, and we're going to have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be awesome.
Well, my fellow geeks and nerds, remember, always rock out with those controllers out. And the Doc and I will see y'all later.
Peace.